Hey guys, welcome back to Revealing Biblical Truths. In this video, we'll be covering Jubilees chapters 13 through 16. Don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe, share, and turn on notifications. In the last video, we went over chapters 7 through 9, where I talked about Noah's death, the Tower of Babel, and the early life of Abraham. In this section, we will be looking at Yah's covenant with Abraham and the birth of Ishmael and Yitzhak. Beginning in chapter 13, Abraham enters the Promised Land and builds an altar in the land of Shechem. From there he moves down to Hebron and lives for about 2 years, after which he travels down to Egypt because of a famine. He lives in Egypt for about 5 years before Pharaoh takes Sarah and desired to be with her. In turn, Yah plagues the Pharaoh, and Abraham grows richer, as well as Lot his nephew. After the plagues, Pharaoh gives Sarah back to Abraham, and he leaves and goes back to his homeland between Ai and Bethel. And after about 4 more years, Lot separates from him and goes to dwell in Sodom. But the people in Sodom are wicked and sinful, and Yah promises Abraham that he can have all the land he wants in the area, and he can dwell once again in Hebron. During this time, the 5 kings of the area take captive Lot, as well as Sodom and Gomorrah and all the cities of the plain. Following this, Yah offers a tenth of his crops, or Abraham offers a tenth of his crops to Yah, and it is said that this was the beginning of the tithe, whereby the first fruits of all the goods were given to the priests of Yah. In chapter 14, the word of Yahuwah appears to Abraham and promises him that he will have a seed. He asks for a sign for when he should inherit the Holy Land. Yah asks him to offer some animals, and then Abraham gathers these in the middle of the 3rd month, which is at the time of Shavuot, or the Feast of Weeks. After he offers these, he has a dream regarding the future Israelites going into Egypt and being put under bondage, but that Yah would deliver them out of it. So Yah made a covenant with Abraham, and the fire of Yah devoured the offerings on the altar. Take note that this covenant that Yah made with Abraham was made on the day of Shavuot. This is the same day that he made a covenant with Moses and the children of Yasharel on Mount Sinai, when he gave the 10 Commandments from the top of the mountain. It is also the day that he renewed the covenant with Yasharel 10 days following the resurrection of Yahusha. Dates and appointed times are important to him, and they seem to have significance here. Following this, he told Sarah, his wife, that they tried to conceive, but she was barren. So she offered her handmaid Hagar, and he had Ishmael from Hagar. In chapter 15, Abraham again keeps the feast of Shavuot, and calls it is called the Feast of First Fruits here, being the first fruits of the wheat harvest. Yah gives the covenant to Abraham for his seed, and gives the command of circumcision, as it was done to be done on the 8th day. Yah changes Abram's name to Abraham, and Sarai's name to Sarah. Yah foretells that Sarah will have Isaac in her old age, and that the promise will be with him and not with Ishmael. So Abraham circumcises everyone in his house, and in verse 25 it says that this law of circumcision is forever in all generations and an eternal ordinance. It gives a very interesting piece of information here in verse 27. It says that the angels of the presence and sanctification were created circumcised. Why would these angels need to be circumcised? It clearly indicates in multiple ways the angels were all male, though, and they were not to be mating with women. But this act is an act of sanctification, not for intercourse. Continuing in the story, the chapter ends by prophesying that the children of Yasharel will not keep this ordinance of circumcision, and will be like the Gentiles, and then they will be rooted out of the land for their sin. In chapter 16, the angels told Sarah that she was going to have a child, but Sarah laughed. They said that his name would be Yitzhak, which means laughter. At that time, Yah destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah and all the cities of the plain, but they saved Lot. Yet they said that Lot sinned by laying with his daughters, so he would be rooted out of the land too. His seed would be destroyed, which are the Moabites and the Ammonites. After this, Abraham moved south from Hebron to Gerar. Sarah then conceived in the 6th month and gave birth to Yitzhak in the 3rd month, during the feast of Shavuot. Yitzhak was then the first one to be circumcised on the 8th day, according to the covenant. The angels returned after the birth in the 7th month, and Abraham, he told would have 6 more sons, and that their seeds would be the Gentiles and like the Gentiles, but that the seed of Yitzhak would be the holy seed. So Abraham rejoiced at this and built booths for himself and his servants and celebrated for 7 days, and thus he was the first man on earth to keep the feast of Shavuot or tabernacles. Not Shavuot, the feast of Sukkot or tabernacles. After this, it was decreed that this feast should be kept forever during this month. So Abraham celebrated the feast and brought offerings every day and tree branches as well. And that ends chapter 16. Thank you for watching. Until next time, Shalom.